Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for holding this important hearing, and thank you for mentioning the secure briefings and having several of them. I think this is something that's very important to our committee, and I hope we continue to do them. Some of this is the larger Homeland Security, but I think our efforts to move our borders overseas that Senator Collins and I worked with Homeland on has been a great solution in stopping some people from coming to the United States. And so there's many aspects to this aviation security, and so we appreciate the fact that we can have secure briefings to talk about many of these elements. Administrator Pukowski, thank you so much for being here, and I very much appreciate your prioritizing your challenges at the agency and what you're working on. I appreciate that. Very much appreciate the 41% increase in the K-9 activity. For us at SeaTac, being one of the fastest growing airports in the country, the amount of demand, this K-9 flexibility, both in more K-9s, particularly at high season time, and more K-9s through the flexibility you're giving to airports, I just can't speak enough about. These are this is not just the speed of moving people through TSA lines. This is a layer of security that cannot be underestimated, and so appreciated, and so appreciate that they are also in the outer terminal of the airport and doing good work too, because that is a line of defense, and very much appreciate it. You mentioned the incident at SeaTac where an air-ground service agent was involved with the theft of a plane, and I definitely want to recognize the air traffic controllers and the military and the first responders who handled this situation so well. We appreciate it. The incident, though, raises questions about our layers of security. My understanding is obviously there's lots of people involved here. There's airlines, there's airports, there's TSA. And your main responsibility as it relates to airports are the security plans and reviewing the security plans of airports. Is that correct? Is that a good characterization of your role here and responsibility?
Yes, ma'am, but we're also responsible for overall security, and that's really why we have a number of investigations underway. I want to see what those investigations say from a fact set. I would also reassure you that we've done a lot already on this issue. As soon as the incident happened, we do this all the time. If something happens in a particular airport, we telegraph to all of our federal security directors throughout the entire system so that they can work with their airline and airport partners in their locations to make sure we don't have a copycat issue, that we close up or put additional eyes on whatever vulnerability might have existed. The other thing that we have done is, I have a great Aviation Security Advisory Committee, and I appreciate the authorities that you have given me with respect to the ASAC. They have helped me immeasurably in my year in this position. I have asked the ASAC several times in several different ways to look at the insider issues. So I expect to get another report back from the ASAC sometime towards the end of the year. The final thing that I would just like to recognize is the industry initiative here. The airlines and the airports have gotten together and formed a work group so that they can share across their peers in the system best practices with respect to aircraft and airport security, and they've agreed to feed their best practice input into our ASAC deliberation. So there's an awful lot of work being done on this insider issue.
So currently, right now, TSA has already implemented interim measures to help prevent copycat events from happening.
Well, Senator, we haven't changed any measures. What we've done is we've highlighted the incident and provided some additional detail to our federal security directors so that they're particularly alert for this particular incident. And then as we get the investigative information in and look at the facts, we'll determine whether or not some changes are needed to procedures.
And I get that that's both interim and long-term, and appreciate the fact that you're going through that investigative process, or that there are several organizations going through that investigative process, and we'll continue to get information. Okay, on that point, one of the things that I'm always amazed about, obviously coming from both the aviation and a technology state, is that things like flight radar or flight aware, even, you can stand on the shores of Puget Sound and get information about various vessels going through our waterways. As we look at next gen, why not have better situational awareness on all ground planes or all airport assets? Why is that not going to be part of the array in the future, so that you actually know where every asset is on the airport and whether it should be or should not be being moved, given that you could have some data and information about that?
Yes, sir. That's part of the review that's being, as you mentioned, there are several investigations underway. There's one with TSA, one with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, certainly one with the Port Authority of Seattle, and also one with the National Transportation Safety Board. And, we collaborate very closely with each other on those investigations so that we can look at things, the technologies that might be available to help us at low or no cost to provide that situational awareness for something that may be occurring that you don't necessarily have visual eyes on, but you may have technology eyes on.
Well, I definitely encourage us to look at those. I'm pretty sure this is where we're going with Next Gen anyway, because Next Gen is about moving all the assets cost effectively through the system as expeditious, as you were saying, that it's not just security, but also the efficiency of how we move things through the system. And having that level of efficiency of knowing where everything on the ground is and where it's going and whether it should be moved or not be moved or is part of a repair plan, whatever the information is. I know that in past discussions here in the committee, a lot of people think that that's going to actually help us moving aircraft through the system on the ground because of the level of congestion that exists. So why not capitalize on that data and information and use it to our advantage on the security side as well? So you'll look at those details.
Yes, ma'am, along with our partners. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.